This is an update to my previous video about the Intel 14th generation desktop processors. Unfortunately, I have some bad news regarding the specifications of some of the upcoming CPUs. We are getting close to the official reveal date. That is why more and more details get leaked by insiders and OEM partners. In this video, I've compiled all the up-to-date specifications, performance, price, and release dates for every CPU, including i3, i5, i7, and i9 K-series, as well as low-power non-K series. You'll see how the 14th generation compares to the previous Intel and AMD processors. And at the end of the video, I'll share my thoughts on whether the 14th generation is worth waiting for, or if it is a good idea to grab a currently available discounted CPU instead. But first, CDKeyOffer.com is my #1 choice for when I need to buy a cheap Microsoft software key. They are a reliable provider of affordable keys to me, my friends, and the channel community for over 2 years now, so highly recommended. Use my discount code iVadim to get 30% off an already amazing price, and grab yourself a Windows 10 Pro for $16, Windows 11 Pro for $23, or Office 2021 for just $52. You can use PayPal for fast and secure payment and get your key instantly. Links to all these products are in the description below. At this point, it is absolutely clear that Intel's 14th generation of desktop processors will feature a refresh of the Raptor Lake architecture found in the current 13th generation processors. So we won't see the highly anticipated Meteor Lake architecture on desktop this year. Although Meteor Lake will arrive to laptops. So if you are in the market for a new laptop, then the 14th gen Meteor Lake based laptop is certainly worth waiting for, as it will bring a much better CPU performance, power efficiency, and much higher integrated graphics performance. As for the desktop processor's release date, according to the latest leaks, Intel plans to launch the K-series of the 14th generation in the middle of October this year. Those are the i5 14600K, i7 14700K, and i9 14900K CPUs. It is highly likely that we will see an official announcement during the Intel Innovation Day on September 19th. The non-K series are rumored to launch at a later date, early next year, most likely at the CES 2024 in the first week of January. The Intel 14th generation processors will utilize the same 600 and 700 series motherboards. This makes it easy for any existing 12th and 13th generation processor owners to upgrade to the 14th generation using the motherboard they already own. Just don't forget to update your motherboard BIOS first to enable the 14th gen support. It is way easier to do the update while you still have your old CPU installed. The i9 14900K features exactly the same number of cores as the 13900K, 8 performance and 16 efficiency cores for a total of 24 cores and 32 threads. Since both generations are based on the same Raptor Lake architecture and Intel 7 process node, the performance increase has to come from somewhere else. Thankfully, it appears that Intel managed to squeeze out a higher core clock frequency from this old node. According to the BenchLife report, the 14900K has a 6 GHz core clock boost, that is a 0.2 GHz uplift over the 13900K. By the way, that is the same boost as the 13900KS, so it is reasonable to expect the same level of performance unless the 14th gen comes with a better memory controller, allowing for a faster DDR5 memory to improve performance a bit more over the 13th gen. The 14900K efficiency cores are also getting a core clock increase from 4.3 GHz to 4.4 GHz, which should help achieve higher multi-core performance as there are 16 of them. The i7 14700K is actually the only CPU getting a noticeable upgrade as it features 8 performance and 12 efficiency cores for a total of 20 cores and 28 threads. That is 4 efficiency cores more than the 13700K has. Additionally, all the cores are clocked higher. The 14700K gets a 0.2 GHz uplift from 5.4 to 5.6 GHz on the performance cores and 0.1 GHz improvement on the efficiency cores. The new i5 14600K features the same number of cores as its predecessor i5 13600K. That is 6 performance and 8 efficiency cores for a total of 14 cores and 20 threads. The new i5 also gets 0.2 GHz increase to the performance core clock and 0.1 GHz to the efficiency cores. It appears that all the Intel 14th generation K-series processors are getting the same 0.2 GHz increase to their performance cores and 0.1 GHz increase to the efficiency cores, which isn't much. The bad news is that the previous rumor about Intel increasing the number of cores on the 14th gen i3 and i5 CPUs appears to be not true, as multiple sources have come out with other set of specifications, confirming my suspicions that we will be getting pretty much more of the same. But some processors are still getting noteworthy upgrades, so let's take a look. Here are the most up-to-date specifications of the 14th generation non-K series processors that are due to launch early next year. The i9-14900 features 8 performance and 16 efficiency cores for a total of 24 cores and 32 threads, with a 5.8 GHz boost. Intel usually nerfs power levels on the non-K CPUs. Still, the 14900 should deliver performance just slightly lower than the 13900K. The i7-14700 is one of the better non-K CPUs this time around, as it is getting a core count increase to 8 performance and 12 efficiency cores for a total of 20 cores and 28 threads with a 5.6 GHz boost clock. This means that the 14700 should outperform the 13700K in multi-core workloads and deliver a similar performance in single-core. The 14700 has a potential to become the best value CPU in 2024 if Intel prices it right. The i5-14400, 14500 and 14600 will retain the same number of cores as their 13th generation predecessors. That is 6 performance cores paired with 4, 8 and 8 efficiency cores respectively. On the bright side, the cores will boost higher. The 14400 gets a 100 MHz uplift to 4.7 GHz. The 14500 boosts to 5 GHz, and the 14600 is at 5.2 GHz, which is actually 100 MHz higher than the 13600K. If you are waiting for the iconic Budget King 14400F, then I think it isn't worth it because it will offer a very small performance uplift versus the 13400F, which you can buy and enjoy right now. The i3-14100 maintains the same 4 cores, 8 threads configuration, but with a higher 4.7 GHz core clock boost, which should help run some applications smoother. It is unfortunate that we are not getting more cores on the i3, but it does make sense for Intel to do so financially, as AMD is not challenging them with any new products in this segment. So Intel has no incentive to make any changes to the configurations that are still selling fairly well for them. Next, let's have a look at some leaked Intel 14th gen benchmarks and figure out where the new processors will land in terms of performance in professional applications and games compared to the current generation of Intel and AMD offerings. The best example we currently have is the alleged i7-14700K benchmark. Compared to the i7-13700K, the 14700K scored 6% higher in single-core and 25% higher in multi-core Cinebench tests. In the CPU-Z benchmark, the 14700K managed to outperform the 13700K by 4% in single-core and 18% in multi-core tests. Please note that these are not direct comparisons, so take the performance comparison numbers with a pinch of salt. But this does provide us with a good indication of where the i7-14700K as well as other 14th generation processors may land in terms of performance. The 4 to 6% single-thread performance uplift is the best indicator of what to expect from the 14th generation in games. It should be able to compete with the Ryzen 7800X3D and 7950X3D pretty well. Only the price and availability will determine the winner of this battle. And from what I hear, AMD can afford to lower the Ryzen 7000 series prices further if needed. As a matter of fact, I expect AMD to lower its prices to remain competitive once Intel launches its 14th generation of processors. Now let's talk about my CPU buying recommendations. The 14th generation prices will be very similar to the 13th generation at launch. It is worth noting that the 13th generation prices are currently lower than they were at launch, which means that in general the 13th gen offers better value now than the 14th gen will when it arrives. TLDR, the 14th gen is not worth waiting for. However, if you want the latest and greatest Intel CPU, then it is obvious that you will have to wait for the 14900K. But you will not be missing out on much if you get the 13900K now. Actually, I think buying the 13900K over the 14900K is a good idea, as it is currently priced well below MSRP. As for the performance, generally you will not be able to tell the difference. Check out the 13900K and other CPUs at the link in the description below if you don't feel like waiting for the 14th generation to arrive. Additionally, if you are building a PC purely for gaming, then it is worth noting that the Ryzen 7 7800X3D offers a slightly higher performance while using significantly less energy and costing much less. It is my #1 gaming CPU recommendation. The 13th gen i7, i5 and i3 prices are also fairly low now. Buying previous generation is the best strategy as long as you snipe a good deal. Especially watch out for the upcoming back-to-school sales. So it is a good idea to check the latest prices on a CPU that interests you the most, because it will be a while before the 14th generation prices settle down. Buying a brand new generation on day one is almost never a good strategy if you are looking for good value. The Ryzen 7000 series CPUs are also currently priced below MSRP, with further price cuts incoming during the upcoming sales. Right now truly is one of the best times to build a new PC from scratch. DDR5 memory, SSDs, as well as other PC components are very cheap now. If Intel 14th generation failed to impress you, then maybe it is a good idea to wait for the next generation of processors. Check out my videos about the Intel 15th generation and Ryzen 8000 series. They should be on your screen now. Give them a gentle tap if you want to learn more. Other than that, reward this video with a like if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more if you haven't already. It was I, Vadim. Until next time.